A journey of just over 2,000 kilometers has brought us to this point. As you can see, the supposed Polo wreckage has seemingly been brought back to life. And of course, I would like to take you through the repairs, the process, and what was changed, and my overall feeling about this entire process. But before we can get to that, I would like to show you things that you won't see. I'll just want to get underneath the car and show you some of the suspension components which I had alluded to in the previous video, just to show you exactly what was changed and what is what, because some of you may not even have had some of the terms that I mentioned in the previous video. So I'm hoping you'll have a greater appreciation of some of the things that I'll be talking about going forward. Okay, so now we're at the bottom of the car, and I know there should be a lower engine cover there, but I had to remove it for purposes of this video. So the first thing which was replaced was this big boy over here. So this is the oil sump, and that's the oil filter right there. This is the gearbox, and that is the mechatronics unit. Then at the back there, this piece here is the front subframe, and then at the back of it you'll see there's a bar that runs across over, and it goes over to the other side. So that's the stabilizer bar. So getting a bit closer, so the stabilizer bar actually then connects on to the stabilizer link, which then connects onto the shock absorber. And then this right here is the lower control arm, which has a ball joint at the end, which then is connected to the wheel. And then you have a drive shaft, and then you have a shock absorber and all of that. But yeah, I don't want to get too technical in this video. I just wanted to show you what's happening underneath, what was changed, and obviously the reason why this had to be changed, the oil sump, was because it had a hole, so it had to go. I mean, if you have an oil sump that has a hole, you can't really do much about it. So yeah, we had to get rid of that. And yeah, besides that, there wasn't anything else that we picked up to be a miss or that required attention. So now that we're done with that, I think I'll take you to the interesting stuff. The impact, if you recall, was on the right front quarter section. So the areas which were damaged is the front end light, the bumper, the spotlight, and the bonnet, and obviously the fender. So the front bumper had to be replaced with obviously an OEM1. The headlight also had to be replaced. The fender as well, because the fender was toast. The bonnet, we worked with the previous one. They worked around it and they managed to get it right. The grill, I insisted that we use the same one, but I actually realized after the fact that the grill was also damaged. But I'll make a plan for that later on. But in terms of the overall look, I was quite happy with the way the job was executed. Although, because of my pedantic nature, there's a few things that when I look at have a story to tell. And I guess, you know what, it will remain with the legacy of the car. But I think if I had to rate the job, overall job, workmanship and everything, I'd give it a solid 8.5 out of 10. But without further ado, let's get closer and show you exactly what was done. And I'll give you my overall impressions of how the car feels, how it feels to drive, and whether or not I think this was a good decision, and if I'm happy with it at the end of the day. Okay, so here we go. Just to get a bit closer. So this was the area which was damaged. So that entire headlight and the bumper is all new now. The fender is also new. So this section here had also been damaged as a result of this wheel moving back and the impact from the accident itself, but that has since been sorted. So this wheel as well as the tire had also withstood some damage from the accident. So I then requested that we do a refurb not only on this specific mag but on all the mags. And then in terms of the tire, I stuck with the same profile, 215 45 16-inch, and I stuck with the Nexen Enfera SU1 sport tires, also they call them, but this isn't really a sports car. And then in terms of the rest of the vehicle, so think this guy actually did the entire car, because you see there on the side, the car's a bit dirty now, but it looks quite neat, I must say. But if you get a bit closer, because I know how this car used to look, this gap here, as well as the gap on the bonnet and the fender, it's not exactly spot on, but I can live with that. Then the other thing is on the PDC sensors. So the front PDC sensor, one sensor was lost in the accident, so we had to source a new one, which we did. We put all the sensors on the new bumper, and then after that we connected the sensors, but I'm getting a PDC error, specifically front PDC error. And then the lower grille, we went all black, and I said, you know what, let's give it a bit of a personal touch with a lower lip there at the bottom. Then when you go around there, we still see that there's a bit of a panel gap there, but once again, that's something I can live with. And then there was previous damage on the car. There was a dent on the left front door somewhere here that has also then been sorted. And then if you go around, then they just did a nice cut and polish on the entire car. Once again, to give it a bit of a personal touch, I requested that we get the 6C GTI style boot spoiler, and sitting very nice there. Then here at the back, there wasn't really much to do. We only had to repair a bit of scratches which were somewhere there, and then there was a dent and a scratch just below this thing they used to open the boot. It's on the tailgate, and this was as a result of poor handling when this car was with the insurance. Then no issues, no errors on the rear PDC. Then if we go out this corner here, there's not really much to report. So yeah, I'm quite happy with the way this car turned out. But as I'll tell you in a minute, there were a bit of issues that we encountered upon collection day. It looked great, but the problems that came with it weren't all that great. So yeah, I'll just take you through some of the issues you experienced, and I'll show you the engine bay, how it looks, and some of the things which still need to be worked on. So the engine bay has been given a proper makeover, a proper clean. It's looking ever so clean. But there's a few things which I may have overlooked. The first one being the aircon. I currently don't have any aircon. I think I just need to take it through for regassing, and if that doesn't work, then yeah, we'll do other diagnostics and figure out what the issue is, because after I collected the car, I had it scanned. There weren't really any issues. The only issue was the low aircon pressure. If there's someone out here who's had the issue before and had it resolved, please let me know, so that there's less work for me to do in terms of fault finding. I can just go ahead and fix it. Now, what happened on collection day? The first issue was the alignment, but that one I always knew that we'd have a problem with. The second issue was that it was actually overheating. At the time, we didn't know what the problem was. So we obviously did some fault finding to try and understand what exactly the overheating stemmed from. So we actually then realized that there was actually a problem with the thermo switch. So the thermo switch was faulty. The fan was working fine, but the thermo switch wasn't working okay. So what effectively that meant is that the fan wasn't starting up when it was supposed to. So as soon as the car goes just above 90, the thermo switch is supposed to tell the fan to start up so that it can, initiate that cooling cycle. But in this case, it wasn't happening. So we actually bypassed the thermo switch, and the fan was running consistently. The car sounded like a factory, a ventilation factory or something. It wasn't all that great, but it helped us to actually regulate the temperature of the engine. Yeah, driving this car upon collection was slightly better than walking in downtown Jozi with all your valuables. The alignment was off, and it wasn't nice to drive. I had to hold the steering wheel at a certain angle just to get it to go straight, and any slight adjustments would, lead to a violent reaction on either side. And imagine driving that on the highway. It was quite unpleasant. And me being me, Obviously, I wanted to run it in upon collection, but I actually realized that it would be quite dangerous to do that. So I parked it for a bit and used alternative means to get around until I was able to get a new tire and work around alignment issue. And once that was done, I'm telling you, the car came to life. I was actually able to, work my way around traffic on the highway after I've done that. And yeah, it was quite a pleasant drive, I must say. And in terms of the other things, I think everything else is still working fine. Also made some additional changes, or some changes. I've included acoustic locking now, or we've actually coded it in, and we've also coded in homecoming lights, and I've also played around with my rear headlights in terms of how the indicators work, but it's nothing too hectic. I was looking for more of an OEM plus look. Didn't want to make any further changes, because I felt, when it comes to cars and customizations, there's usually money that comes with that, and I wasn't prepared to spend any more money. And I always liked the way this car looked, even in its standard keys, so I didn't really want to change much. So right now I have a nice front lip, my rear mirrors are black, nice gloss black wrap, which I had done previously, and now I also have that gloss black rear 6C GTI spoiler. So yeah, I'm quite happy with the way it looks now. I think the only pressing issues would just be that aircon issue and that sound of the tappets. And once that's sorted, then we're good to go.